Another episode, another year of the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast. Welcome to 2024 and welcome to the show. We haven't talked in a while. My voice tonight is just dead shot, which for a lot of you is going to be great because hopefully we get more Grant, we get more G-Bone, we get more Gary, more G-String.
People are would be very upset about that.
Oh, on the contrary, people. You ever watch the old SNL scale? It's like I gotta have more cowbell. People are out
I got
like,
a fever.
I gotta have more G-Bone.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Is more G-Bone.
Yeah.
More G-String. I don't think people are ever sad when they get more G-String.
Huh? Context is important, but
yeah.
So who knows? My voice is I don't know where it went.
Who you've been screaming at? Like who's
scratchy throat? Not the kid, not the wife, not myself. We haven't been we've done as little podcasting in a 2-week span as we ever have. So I don't know. It might just that season.
Yeah.
So I'll probably try to talk quiet because when I get louder, it's that's when it kind of goes away. So it's January 3rd. The Epstein client list has been released. Scott Frost not on it, I guess.
I would guess not. No.
Are there any John Does still left on the list?
I would have to look into it more. The website crashed instantly. So
where was it posted?
I think it's just court documents. So they just go to the local court report page, and it just is not prepared for the entire world to.
Was it prepared for Drake to be on there? I
already know. Everything. Drake has been doing his own research on this for sure.
I mean, Kevin, you don't know this, but I think he's done it. He did it a couple times on the main show. He's been signing off DHT with Epstein didn't kill himself for I don't know, a good 4 or 5 months.
I was gonna say a year.
He did it twice on the main show, but yeah.
So this is a big day for Drake. Nonetheless, we're not going to talk about that, although I'm sure that would be very entertaining. There was an Iowa football game. The final Iowa football game of the year took place 2 days ago, Monday, the 1st of the year. It was not a good football game. We'll talk about that a little bit. There was also 2 football games that day that were great football games. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. That's probably more exciting. Figured we might start with something to ease us in.
Betting recap to go through as well.
We do have a betting recap to go through.
Bet on every single football game there was to bet.
Every football game, every horse race, every cricket match that went this past weekend. Gary had action on it, and it was all on the ticket on the Instagram graphic. So, I think people were actually sad that you couldn't fit more onto the graphic.
I know. I wanted to do NFL too, but we still have time for NFL, I think.
I got smoked in the NFL this past weekend. So let's ease into it first before we get to the betting recap. How about Caitlin Clark? Huh?
It's casual.
Casual.
Another day in the office.
I went to bed and it was maybe tied up at the end of the third quarter, and woke up and I was like, oh, I should check the girls' score. So I type it in and I see that they win by 3 points. And I immediately get on Twitter, and it's just the highlight of, that's been playing all day in Hawkeye Nation. Wow. I mean, it's gotta feel good to be her, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I like that she just immediately started just wandering into the crowd. Like she did. I feel like she's had enough big moments where she probably knows what to do, but this one she just kind of shrugged and just started casually walking into the corner of the crowd. And, I thought it was kind of funny.
I mean, do you think that it ever just becomes uneventful for her? It's like, hey, this is what I do.
I don't think so. I don't think so because
I just dropped another 40.
I was
deal.
say 40 points and just hitting a 3 right in their mouth. Like that's just got to be
right
unreal.
Right in the freaking mouth.
And it's not a JV high school game where like it's just the parents are there. Like that is a completely packed arena.
Well, it's a sold out Carver Hawkeye arena.
Awesome.
Kev, I don't think that, man, you would have to just be unconscious like alien, which she almost is, to get used to and just be over game winners like that. But
I mean, if there's anyone in college basketball, it's her.
I know. But I do think that 30, 35, however many points she put up, I don't think it even registers as a blip on her radar of like, oh, that was cool. You know, I saw a stat. People are doing the stats similar to the drive to 325. There's a similar drive to 35-60 something for her to break Kelsey Plum's record. And then the record after that is Pistol Pete for all time, both men or women's. Yeah. And if she averages 31.9 the rest of the year, I don't know if this was calculated in the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. I don't think it did. She will break Pistol Pete's record, and he scored a lot of points.
He scored so many points.
He averaged like 40 in college.
No, I'm trying to pull it up. He scored a bunch.
I love.
Yeah, he had 3,600 points.
So many points.
He averaged 44 points a game.
Oh
so is this year 4 for Clark?
Yeah, the COVID was her first year, so 20, 21, 22, 23.
So she could have that legit record. It's not
legitimate, legitimate.
She got 5 years or whatever. Obviously, she can come back next year should she choose to, but she could break that record, and there could be no claims of, oh, she got extra time, extra games, extra.
Oh, you just got real quiet, Kev. What happened?
Was that me or was that?
What the? I don't know.
Oh no, Kevin just got so quiet.
It's okay.
What Kevin was trying to say there was, yes, it's not going to be a COVID record, although she could.
That's definitely better, Kevin.
Better.
Yeah. Better. Yeah, Kev, the records at the end of this year will be a legitimate 4-year career record. And she will. It's almost guaranteed at this point. I'd have to do the math, but she's almost guaranteed to break the women's record. Probably before they even get to the Big Ten tournament.
That's insane.
And then, if she adds that COVID year, you would have.
Then it just becomes untouchable.
It's one of those things where you're going to need another rare situation.
Pandemic where the NCAA grants an extra year of eligibility to someone. Right. And
yeah. There's never going to be, barring another pandemic, there's never going to be a situation like that again. Like if you get a 5th year normally, it's because you redshirted or you medically redshirted, which means you weren't playing games.
You didn't play that season, right? You only still played 4 seasons, maybe 4 seasons and a handful of games in that redshirt season,
She's going to finish this year with 3,600 plus points. And
she already has 3,100 right now.
Yeah. So she's going to finish with 3,600 plus. And if you average that out over a 4-year career, that's 900 a year. If you add another 900 to that in a potential 5th year, that's 4,500 points. I mean, dude,
it's just crazy.
It's
insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's just impossible for that to get touched in a 4-year career. I mean, that's
impossible.
That's over 1,100 points a year. There's just no way.
You could win.
Unless they start playing like double the amount of games.
I was going to say, whoever would potentially try and go after that, they could go all the way and win the conference tournament and win the NCAA tournament every year for 4 years and never touch it still.
You would need Coach K's 200 team tournament that he was trying to put together so that Duke could get in. But
you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I want to shout out though the whoever was doing the floor sound, the mic crew for the net on that.
Yeah. Oh,
beautiful job. That sound going in is so crisp, so awesome.
There was controversy because the TV clock was off.
I know. I know. But like if you just watch it, you can hear the actual buzzer go off way after she releases it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's like still shots where the ball is like clearly out of her hand. And
B-Ray.
Shout out B-Ray.
B-Ray doesn't miss, baby.
Yeah, the backboard buzzers hasn't gone off yet. So.
0.1 on the clock, just over the basket from behind. That could be the shot of the year, honestly, for Iowa sports.
I mean, that's a bold take on January 2nd, but okay.
Oh, I guess it was. I guess yeah, you're right. Well, it's a hell of an early candidate.
Yeah,
sure.
If nothing less.
Yeah.
No, some interesting stuff about the women's team, though. They're ranked number 4 in the country. Obviously, they had the loss to K-State. That's their only loss on the schedule, which they then avenged in a second matchup versus them. They are not. This is for me from afar. I haven't gone to any games. I haven't watched any of the games in entirety, but I've caught a large chunk of many of them. And I don't think I'm saying anything groundbreaking here. They are going to need somebody else to step up as like a legitimate third scorer if they want to have a much better chance of getting anywhere close to where they were last year as far as how far deep they went in the tourney, because Caitlin is having to take a lot of shots. She's having to score way too many points, and they're playing games that are just too close with someone scoring that many points. Like, Stolke's good. I don't know what Stolke's averaging. It's probably
14.5.
I was going to say probably somewhere around 15. If Caitlin averages 31, I think that's 45, 46 points. They got to be able to score 70, 80 points, and they just don't have the consistent scorers that are getting them there. So
Kate Martin's the only other one in double digits. He's averaging close to 12.
Okay, so that's actually better than I thought. So maybe they need a fourth scorer to come up, or they need Stolke or maybe they just generally need a lot more bench points. Or maybe Gabby Marshall fills that role and she starts just absolute cash town down the home stretch here. But without Sonano in there as such a solid option, it appears to me that they got taken to the wire by Michigan State, an unranked team at home. Now that team looked pretty good, but
you're saying it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to make a run in the tournament.
I think Sweet 16 is pretty, like, I'll never say locked up, but I think that's pretty feasible, right? If Iowa, say they lose 1 or 2 more games this year, they'll probably have a 1 or at worst a 2 seed. They're gonna play maybe at best a 7 seed to get to the Sweet 16. They should be able to handle that. But once you get up into that range, there's teams that are good enough where if Caitlin has an off night, there's just not enough to. The
margin of error is going to be a lot less than it was last year.
I mean, and let's be honest, getting there last year was, it doesn't even matter.
Very little margin of error there too.
Right. Like even if you're the top 5 team in the country, you still have to have luck and a low margin of error to make it there. So it'll be interesting to see how well they do. But regardless, following Caitlin is like, I mean, is she where's Hawkeye dude when you need him? Is she going to take over Kinnick Nile as the best, most well-known, greatest athlete from Iowa? Like all around greatest Hawkeye? First of all, is it
now Kinnick was class president, so he's got that.
Has she solidified that it's between her and him? I would argue, yeah. Good question, huh? Who else would be in there if you were going to debate it?
Bo Bauer.
Probably Bo Bauer. Has to be Bo Bauer. Definitely.
Bauer's in the conversation. All right.
He's definitely top 10.
We're putting him in the conversation for greatest Hawkeye of all
All
time.
right, let's list Bo's resume. Interception in his first game ever.
That's pretty
good.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of anyone else from football.
Does anybody even come close,
you have
Kev?
one Heisman winner, which is kind of, and then you have a couple of Heisman runner-ups.
So Brad Banks.
Yeah.
Brad Banks and Chuck Long.
Yeah.
What about like Spencer Lee?
Spencer would be
straight
Spencer
accolades.
Lee's in the conversation, and then, I mean, if you're only including athletes, I mean, otherwise you can include Dan Gable in the conversation.
Mm.
I'm just going off of the stats.
Oh, if we're just doing like, if we're expanding it like greatest Hawkeyes, you're just gonna throw in like Gene Wilder or
Ashton Kutcher,
Grant Wood, great. Like if we just Ashton Kutcher,
Adam Woodbury.
Yeah, we're just throwing in just great Hawkeyes.
Is Garza is Garza close?
He's up there. He's one of the.
He's I mean, but it's a lot easier to compare two basketball careers against one another, right? And he had a phenomenal career, obviously, not taking anything away from that, but it's nowhere near what the amount of buzz that Caitlin Clark's created in the career that she's had over the past 4 years.
Do you think that
plus taking your team to a national title?
Okay, and that's that plus her almost assuredly having the all-time scoring record are two massive bullet points on her resume. Do you guys think that, I'm sorry, this is supposed to be the bowl game recap episode, and we'll get there. I promise. We'll get there, but this is more exciting.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it's really hard for us to have this conversation because Grant wasn't even born in the 1900s, for God's sake. But is some of the Kinnick hype just because he's a historical figure?
I mean, he's the only.
It's really hard to win the Heisman.
It's incredibly hard to win the Heisman.
Yeah, he's the only Heisman winner from the school. On top of being like the class president, like he was Mr. Iowa. Like he was Iowa City back in.
I wish so badly he wouldn't have passed away and he would have gotten into politics because it would have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he would have been what, governor at a minimum.
Minimum. He was going for president. It was in his freaking journals.
Yeah, so I mean,
it'd be crazy.
I don't know.
I wonder if he dies, and I don't want to like downplay Kinnick as much as Hawkeye dude would like me to, would shit on me for that. He's a legend. He's the greatest Hawkeye of all time. He gets the stadium named after him. 100 years later, almost, there starts to become a lore of like, we know he's great because we're told he was great, right? Like none of us even got to experience it. We're experiencing Caitlin real time. Like, I don't think it's out of the question that, if they ever decide to rename the arena, it could be called Clark Arena.
Given the fact that the Carver family is giving a shit ton of money to the university.
Yeah, Caitlin would probably have to fork up a hefty amount of money, but
they did a good job of renaming it Kinnick Stadium before people started donating tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And no one wants to change the name now, but they can maybe name the court after her.
Clark Court.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She can also drop a fat check once she's made her tens of millions of dollars, and they'll name it whatever she tells them to.
And she's I saw something the other day, and I don't know how anybody would know this because I doubt the person that she has on her team or the team that she has, there's no way they're leaking these numbers or ever telling anybody. But I saw a figure the other day that she's made $7 million so far
in her college career.
She's up to $7 million in total endorsement earnings.
Seems
that's impressive.
So she's already almost made what would that be, 8 figures?
Yeah. I mean, that's like half your salary. So that's pretty.
Mine?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It's like for Kevin, it's probably like was that 20% of what you make?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
On a good year, yeah.
Yeah. When Stryker does well, right? She's so good that she gets she gets like the Jordan hate or like the LeBron hate. Like she's literally a GOAT. People start to make shit up because they just hate greatness. Like the argument I saw last night just like no reason to bring it up. Like, oh, well, look at her. Look how selfish she is. She runs away from her teammates and doesn't celebrate with her team. Like, what? We're just grasping at shit now.
That's the Colin Coward with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark is a backwards hat kind of girl.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's insane how she's what she's been able to do.
Have you seen the pictures and videos of her after the games? She's got her own security officer.
Didn't know that.
That follows her off the court and but she goes and signs autographs, takes pictures, gives her shoes away. It's like a Beatles fandom. It's like the people are just like swarming the tunnel to try and get a.
So shout out to her for does she actually give her shoes away every game?
I don't know. I saw it. She did two games ago. She gave like these sick pair of they might have even been Christmas themed because they were red and maybe with a little green in them. And she gave them to this little like probably 10-year-old girl, and this 10-year-old girl's life was made. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I mean, that's cool, and I understand that she can afford her new sneakers every single game. I hate breaking in new shoes.
Oh yeah, it's a total.
You think it bothers her feet having to go through a new pair of shoes every week?
I mean,
I would assume she has more than one pair of shoes.
Well, yeah, but you still have to break them in.
Eventually, you have to break new ones.
Someone's got to break them in, man. Unless you're paying someone to, hey, wear my shoes around this week.
I mean, $7 million in.
I guess, yeah.
That would be a great student job on LinkedIn. Just breaking Caitlin Clark's shoes for.
Hey, run around in these for the next 6 days.
We're offering 12 an hour.
The first week of camp was always my least favorite, not because we're back at camp and it sucks, but you have these brand new cleats and they're stiff as shit, and my feet hurt so bad.
Head too when you put on that helmet for the first few practices.
Oh yeah.
Interesting conversation. The rest of what she does this year obviously adds to that resume. So it'll be fun to see that. And then, if she has another year, it'll be just ridiculous. Let's go over that betting recap. Grant, you got those you got that graphic to pull up?
Yeah, I do.
Pull it up.
Yes. Big weekend for everyone.
Huge.
Here we go. The reveal of the graphic.
Oh, and we got little check marks. We're coming up as a
that's a good ad there. I like that
check
ad.
marks. Yeah. So standings.
Grant,
lead us off.
Yeah, I took Georgia minus 19. I think it was the easiest pick of the weekend. I did a bull pick 'em. Funny enough, both of these teams had the exact number of players out for the game, 27 apiece. This was essentially like, well, I mean, granted, the quality of player was a little bit different on both sides, but Florida State basically gave the middle finger to the committee and the NCAA and said, okay, you're not putting us in. We're going to basically quit. Georgia won this game 63-3. And as bad of an ass beating as Iowa took on Monday, this was worse for Florida State.
Didn't they score 9 straight touchdowns?
Sounds right. So this was my only win of the weekend, unfortunately. The second game I picked was the Iowa game. I thought they were going to win this game outright. We'll talk about that in a second. I was drastically wrong. I took the points plus 6.5, and obviously we know the result of that. And then Ohio State, I felt like even without Kyle McCord, Ohio State would be fine. Missing
Kyle McCord was the one you were worried about, not Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, Marvin Harrison was a game time decision. He wasn't for sure going to be out, and then he decided not to play. That definitely hurt. They get beat something like 16-3. Ohio State does not score single-digit points ever, and it was probably one of the most embarrassing Ohio State games in a very, very, very long time. Maybe not quite as embarrassing as what we did to them in Kinnick, but it might be the most embarrassing game since then. Missouri beats them. Missouri was a great football team this year.
Their defense was legit all year long.
Yeah, and
they're bringing a lot of guys back too.
They had a good quarterback.
Are we on Mizzou watch next year? Are we putting futures in on Mizzou next year?
Have you seen their schedule?
No.
Is it bad?
There's 10 wins on there at least.
Oh, so they're making the playoff next year.
12 teams.
12 teams.
I like their chances.
Yeah.
I mean, 10-2 in the SEC. I think you're better than a coin flip of getting in.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because in the new playoff, you're probably looking at 3 Big Ten teams, 3 SEC teams at least every year.
Yeah, for sure.
Given
the fact that the Pac-12 has disintegrated, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
2 out of the Big 12, maybe.
Depending on who they are. Yeah.
You probably get the champion and then I don't maybe someone else, but they lost their heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And then 2 out of the ACC probably.
Yeah.
1 at large, one group of 5.
Yeah, 1 MAC.
Yeah, dude.
One from the Sun Belt.
Let's get JMU.
Bowling Green enters the playoff as the 12th seed. So I was 1-2 on the weekend. Not a good weekend. I, unlike Kevin and Gary, decided to just go with my normal 3 picks. I was the leader in, I guess the deciding factor here will be win percentage heading into the weekend. So I was like, cool, I'll just do my 3 picks. And I went 1-2. So not great, but I finish above 500, 24-21. We'll take it. And one of you can take the floor. Jesus Christ, my
voice. So we started off with Oregon. I had them at -16.5. Started off the game down 6-0. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Liberty's coming for the national title. And then then Oregon goes on to score the next 45 points. So we're good there.
Yeah.
I also had the Hawks +6.5, was really hoping for a better performance. And obviously we did not get that. But we also had the Iowa-Tennessee under at 35.5, and that catches by the skin of its teeth. So we'll cash that one. And then going back to that Ohio State game, I had the under at 48.5, 2 really good defenses. Ohio State's most important offensive players out. That was never even a question. I think it was 3-3 at halftime.
3-0.
3-0 at halftime. There you go.
Lock.
And then to the Rose Bowl, had the Michigan men -1.5, and the over in that game. Needed the overtime for both of those to hit. Awesome football game, man. I might just go rewatch that one for fun sometime. Yeah, we can talk about that game a little bit more here in a second. But yeah, both those hit. Gary, you bet every single football game that was played on the 31st and 1st.
Quick rundown of your picks.
No, we did good. I went 8-2, so pretty good. Yeah, I mean, like I had a lot of similar picks to you guys. Like we had Mizzou, Oregon, of course. Only losers were Penn State. Not a great showing from them. A great defense, offense just didn't really prepare.
Ole Miss is another one of those teams to look out for next year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're I don't even know if you're a secret Lane fan anymore. I think
I'm actually going to try to go to a game next year.
Ooh, okay,
very cool.
All right, I'll take it. But yeah, so Penn State didn't do very well, and then Iowa. Hey, I'm going to go with my guys. All right, that's what I got.
I saw you spouting on Twitter that you were liking the Iowa over.
I've been hunting the Iowa over.
What was the final score tally this year? Did we go over twice? I think this year.
I think we got 2, and I think
were we 2? I think it was 12.
I think the last one was Michigan State.
Jeez.
I think that was the last over. But it's okay. Next year we're getting more of those. All right, I will not stop. I will be training all summer to get these overs. Okay, that is a promise from me. All right, we're going to be better next year. But then, yeah, a lot of other good ones. Arizona, fun one. Mizzou, Rutgers, awesome. Toledo from the Arizona Bowl, great stuff from them. Well, they had a big man robbed of a cool touchdown, which was really unfortunate. But then if we're just doing playoff, though, Washington +4. I'm very excited for the Washington Huskies. I love their live mascot, Dubs. Great dog. They had some good photos. He was all cozy up in his Washington blanket, as well as he had great sunglasses on during the game. Looking forward to seeing him in the national championship. And then most importantly, though, we are still holding on to Washington 22-1 to win the national championship. A little nervous, Michigan, very good team. But I love that Washington is an underdog for the national championship.
Dude, no
they've
respect.
just been proving everyone wrong all
no
year.
Respect.
No respect to them.
I don't know if we're gonna give picks later here again today, but how can you keep betting against a team that just keeps winning as underdogs?
You can't.
I mean, 4.5 points, I feel like it's a lot, man.
You want to, Grant, you want to give a little insight into your psychology? I know there was some discussion in the Discord about, do you double down? Do you hedge at this point? What are you thinking?
Well, I can't cash out or anything anyway because it's on the Betfred Iowa app, and I'm not in the state of Iowa, so I don't have a choice
here.
anyway.
Yeah.
Well, you can obviously place a bet on the Michigan plus whatever money line it is.
You could, but no, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to double down.
Love that.
You're doubling down, so
I'm just going to double down.
You're betting on Washington again.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to bet on Washington again. If I'm anything, I'm not hedging. I'm going down with the ship. All right.
Are you at least taking the points, or is it Washington money line?
Well, I mean, I lose everything if they don't win. So,
well, I mean, you can bet them plus 4.5, and you can either double up or you can at least have yourself.
This comes down to my loyalty to the Huskies. Okay, is what it comes down to. They've been my team since August. I've been with them. Shout out the boy Roger Rosengarten. I've been riding with my friends this whole time. I'm sticking with Washington. I'm not going to go do some workaround where I got to bet on another team. I'm just going to stick with it. I'm going to keep it simple. Why go around? I'm just keeping it simple. I'm going to stick with Washington, and I'm going to give them my loyalty. I'm going down with the ship. If everyone loses, I lose too.
I love that. I need somebody in the Discord to post us a captain of the ship going down in a
or the ship just getting to the dock. How about some positivity?
No, you're saying you're going.
Gets there.
No, you're saying you're going down with the ship. I need Gary's face superimposed onto a ship captain, maybe the Titanic,
if it goes down.
Right,
but it won't.
I do feel like 4.5 is a lot of points for a national championship, and for these two teams specifically, I'm very excited to watch them play. That is the bowl game season. End of bowl game season.
Very sad.
Betfred recap. Shout out to Betfred. Download the Betfred Iowa app. There will be lots to bet on here as we get towards March Madness. And gosh, not just basketball. There's so much more. There's so many things.
NBA.
There's still NFL, NBA, and hockey. Lots of things to bet on. Shout out to our friends at Betfred for sponsoring the show, being the title sponsor this past season and beyond, hopefully far beyond. Real quickly, before we get into this game, we didn't quite get there, but our YouTube account currently sits at 2,992 subscribers. We need 8. We need 8 of you guys to find your dead grandma's YouTube account.
Just make a fucking Gmail
or just
account
make a new account. Somebody in the Walk-On Army
on YouTube.
WalkOnArmy1@gmail.com, WalkOnArmy2@gmail.com. Make a YouTube account with all of those emails and just get us to 3K. It means nothing, but it looks good, right? Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
We're growing on Instagram a lot.
Instagram's closing in on what, 4,000 followers?
Let me check.
I think so.
Oh, let's go.
Closing in on 4,000. Yeah.
We're trying to make moves. When Grant joined, by the way, we were at 1,600 followers. So Grant's done some work over there.
Trying my best.
Well, one more quick thing before we get into this game. I saw a tweet from Kevin Ward this weekend. He said, I don't know what we spent on flyovers in 2023, but I think we should double it in 2024. Do you want to elaborate on that, Kev?
Double it. What more do you need to say? I want it doubled. I want twice the amount of flyovers.
Can somebody superimpose Kevin into a stealth bomber over the Rose Bowl, please, and give me that screenshot as well?
Every event can be made better with a flyover.
100%. I don't care if it's a freaking basketball game. We can't even see the flyover. I want to hear it. I just want to hear it.
Oh, there was an NFL team this year that had a flyover for their first game.
And the roof was closed. Yeah.
Someone has made that mistake already.
Yeah.
That's funny. So,
all right. Tennessee, Iowa. I'm dead serious. I thought the Hawks were going to win this game outright. I was very wrong. I'm not normally surprised by the Iowa football team. They're not really a surprising team, be it good or bad, either way. I was surprised by this result. Initial reactions or thoughts to the result from Monday, Kevin Ward?
Disappointed. I mean, just like, I don't know, man. It was tough to watch.
Was it shocking to you?
I was surprised. I definitely expected better performances. I mean, obviously on the offensive side, but the defense had kind of had their hands full. They looked like the longer drives, like there were some dudes who were huffing and a puffing. Like, and that was one of the things that Tennessee did well this year is like when they get moving on drives, like they're going fast and not allowing our guys to sub. And you could tell that the conditioning wasn't, the speed and the conditioning wasn't there for us.
Yeah.
That quarterback, I'm not even Malieva.
Iyama Leava.
Yeah, whatever. He's gonna be a good player here in the next few years.
Yeah, he is. He's long, he's fast, he can spin it.
Yeah. Sure. I think they beat us with speed. They I mean defensively, we were just on the field too much too. I mean,
a lot. Yeah. Gary, any thoughts?
I was definitely bummed out. I thought we were going to win too, just like I do every game. But that's part of the price of being a fan. You just you get yourself up, and you get disappointed sometimes, but it's okay. Still proud of the season the guys had. A lot of adversity, they got through it. But part of me too, a little bit in ways, like okay, like we got a lot of things to look forward to next year. Hopefully, bring a lot of guys back. Potentially, they get a different OC. It could be really exciting. I'm excited for what the future has. Like this game sucked. This was not very fun. But you get to see I saw some younger guys out there like Marco looks fast. That's all I need to see. Guy looks fast, looks athletic. That's enough to get me to like April. Just videos of him juking that one guy out. That's enough for me to like April. I can just watch that over and over again.
Yeah, he's got a little stuff to him for sure.
Yeah,
he's got. Now I can see. I saw all the people were like complaining. It's like, why was Deacon Hill playing over this kid the entire year? It's like the throws weren't exactly there, but the athleticism, loved it.
Yeah,
loved it. Like what he can do, escape in the pocket, is like something we haven't seen from Iowa quarterbacks since CJ, and I think the fans are just dying for it.
Yeah,
I fully share the sentiment of the fans with this. I don't know how in today's game, with how fast and quick and just tempo it's gotten. I mean, specific, you don't even have to talk about passing game or anything like that. You just look at the D linemen that people run out there these days. There's D linemen that are running 4.5s in the NFL. Like, if you do not have a quarterback that can create with his legs, if he needs to, not as the primary, and I think there's a little bit of a difference there. There's a huge difference there. I'll touch on that in a second. Then you better have Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, because you just have to have it. And we saw why that was beneficial, both when Marco made a couple plays and all game with Lavalea. He sounds like a Pokemon. I think he scored 3 rushing touchdowns, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Marco had a little bit of success, got some first downs. I wouldn't get too excited about that for 3 reasons. 1, that is not an offense. That's not even an offense when you have Lamar Jackson. You never make that the primary goal of your offense, for your quarterback to be running for first downs. It's just not what you do. we saw that experiment with Adrian Martinez, and he got cracked ribs and a hurt hand, and he was broken from head to toe. It also means that you're either A, your quarterback is not finding open receivers, or your receivers are not open. That's one of the options. Or C, the third potential reason why you're seeing a quarterback run is because the line is not giving him enough time. So these are all because of bad things.
Well, I agree with you on all three of your points, right? It's like, that's not how we want to get first downs. You don't want to put your quarterback out there for risk. B, you'd rather him be finding open receivers, and receivers are open and throwing them the ball. That's why we called that play, right? And obviously you want good offensive line play, but just having the ability to escape the pocket when necessary is huge. And
huge. And where I was going with
I guess I'll let you finish here in a second, is that those were first downs that if Deacon Hill's in the game, it's fourth down, call it.
Correct. Which is why it is so exciting in a small sample size to see that. At Iowa, the way that we currently run offense, some would call it old, outdated, antiquated, whatever. You need linemen that can give a quarterback time. You need those things. And
overall, I thought the line played better.
They played better.
I think they had a solid game. But
on a whole, they didn't run block like Iowa needs a line to run block this year. Pass pro was decent. I listened to, and I'm not really one for pushing people to other shows, but I listened to Miller and Williams today recap the game, and I think they pretty much drilled it. I mean, every note I took was essentially the same stuff that they were saying. Some people don't like them. Some people don't listen to them. If you want a pretty damn good breakdown of at least my thoughts, they drilled it on their most recent episode. Deacon Hill isn't a Division I quarterback. Let's call a spade a spade. And it blows my mind that, and I get it, we've been on the inside. I felt this pull even several years after we were out of the program to, like, just at all costs, no matter what, stick up for the guys on the inside. And I have nothing against Deacon, but it is almost disrespectful to Hawkeye Nation and the fans and the people who come and support the games for for Coach Ferentz and for Coach Brian Ferentz to get up there and consistently say that Deacon has played good football for Iowa this year. It's just bullshit. Like, it's bullshit.
Have they ever actually come out and said that he's played good?
Yeah. Brian said this past week that Deacon's played great football for him this year, and he's won a lot of games. It's just not true. No. And I get it. It's coach speak, but it's just not true. I don't know. And again, this is something that Chris Williams and John Miller said too, but I agree with them. I don't know if Deacon entered the portal, if there'd be a single Division I football team who would be interested in what he put on tape. I don't know if there would be. There are some severe deficiencies. And so you hope that with McNamara back next year, that a lot of that gets fixed. And I think if you have McNamara and you have Luke Lachey, who's coming back, by the way, and you had Eric All this year, and, Caleb Brown comes along as a receiver, you get a couple other guys to just show some progress in the receiving core, I think the offense does look different. I don't think it's even maybe better than average, but I think maybe it does get to the 70th or 80th best in the country. And I think that's enough for the way that Iowa plays football. But I don't.
Here's a question for you. If Iowa's offense was not 130th or whatever it ended up being, but instead it was 70th.
Sure.
Does that change their record at all besides Minnesota game?
I think they've got a shot in this bowl game. Yeah. I think they win the Minnesota game. I think that with how that defense played in the Big Ten Championship, I think that is a close ball game. They probably don't win, but I think it's close. Penn State, they might have still handled that game.
I think we still lose Penn State. I think
we go 10.
We probably beat Minnesota.
I think it's possible that we pull out the bowl game and we're 12-2. I get what you're saying, Kev. 10 wins is phenomenal. You know me. I'm a win guy. I've said on this show, if we win 3-0 every game and then we were 15-0 national champions, I think that hang it in the Louvre, right?
I'm not saying that what the offense put on tape or on the field this year is by any means acceptable. I'm just saying, like, I don't think it would have made a whole lot of difference in the win column this year.
I agree. However, I believe, and I didn't for a while, for much longer than most fans, almost every fan was okay with. I was okay with the offense being dog shit for 2 years. It's gotten to the point where I would imagine it's already affected the portal and recruiting and maybe even trying to keep guys on your own team, although the culture in that building seems to be stronger than it's ever been right now. They didn't have hardly any opt-outs. They've got Jay Higgins, Luke Lachey, Jermari an hour before this podcast announced he was coming back. I wouldn't doubt if Castro or Coop or Schulte, one of those three or more, also announced they're coming back. There seems to be a bit of a theme, by the way, with their announcements. But it's a bad look, man. And as much as I don't care, I fully understand for fans how this is just not fun to watch. Like it's horrible.
No, I mean it's fucking bad when it's 14-0 and you're seeing the way your offense is playing. It's like, okay,
this game's over.
I don't see a way that we can win this game.
And you know the most damning thing, Kev, is you're right. We were 10 and were we? 10-4. We played 3 good teams, 3 ranked teams this year. And we were shut out in every game. We were outscored 90-something to 0 in the 3 games that mattered on a national level. It's a bad look.
It's embarrassing. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not.
I mean, we're not even in a spot right now where it's like, hey, a little bit here, a little bit there, and we'll be right there. It's like, no, we have a mountain to climb to replace this offensive production. And they've made one decision. Beth made the top decision. There's a new OC in town starting. I think KF said he wants to have a new OC announced by the 2nd week of January. So it'll be very soon. And we'll do a podcast about that. But there's just a ton of work to be done. And going all the way back to it, I think that you want a quarterback that can move. And as much as we're excited about McNamara and if he's healthy, what he can do throwing the ball and operating and managing an offense, I'll be honest, I'll be scared for him to run next year. You know, he's got 2 knee surgeries under his belt now.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They're different knees, right? One ACL at each knee.
I think that's right. I believe that's right. So,
I mean, guys come back from one ACL tear and they can be perfectly fine. So,
you're right.
I mean, if it's the same knees several times, then that thing starts to go to shit. But there's no reason that Cade can't be the athletic Cade McNamara that, you know, played against Iowa in 2021, sure, right? And hopefully without a quad tear too going into the season.
Yeah. I'll say this on that front. Every quarterback that we've signed, every being, I think, 2 or 3 at this point. Linez, I think his name is, what's his first name? Something Resar from Florida. And then the guy they just signed out of Indianapolis in the 25 class. They're all track guys. So after, I believe, Carson May, who transferred out last season after a year, After that, for the last 3 seasons, they've signed a scholarship quarterback who is very clearly a dual threat, a guy who can run. So I think in recruiting, they've made the move. Recruiting, obviously, especially at Iowa, takes 2-3 years to develop. We see the very, very first little blossom of that with Marco in the bowl game. So we'll see moving forward. But damn, there is some stuff to work on.
Yeah, and I understand why why we were hesitant to put him in. I mean, the guy was a true freshman this year. He was on the scout team all year long. So, like, basically bowl prep was his first. He got a couple weeks of running the Iowa offense since August, right? Yeah. So obviously we're going to go with Deacon Hill coming into the game, and I would have really hoped for him to have played better. I mean,
he's just the
one pick when we're on the 3-yard line is just an unacceptable throw.
Yeah, and he turns the ball over way too much. His pocket presence is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's some stuff that. Here's how I look at it. Kev, you and I, for whatever reason, we were not NFL football players, right? We weren't good enough to play in the NFL.
Checked, yeah.
We just weren't good enough to play in the NFL. That was one level too big for us. And I think but that's no indictment on us as people. Now, me and you are shitty people, but
the two aren't related.
But the football talent has nothing to do with that, right?
Yeah.
Deacon's a great dude. And this kind of gets to the stuff about Brian too. But both Deacon and Brian, performance-wise, didn't get it done. And in Division I athletics, you have to produce. It just is what it is. He's not a Division I quarterback. And we saw that, and I don't know what happens to Deacon Hill's career, because Cade comes back, and then after that you've got, I don't even know how many years Deacon has left, and then you're looking at the guys that we've recruited to be in a quarterback battle. But
I would hope to see, I mean, God, sounds like such a fan. But I mean, I guess that's not really a bad thing when it makes sense. I would hope to see Marco take the number 2 spot next year.
Yeah, I would agree. You would think that
he'll have a full spring ball, full camp, where you can get a full off season of reps. I mean, I guess we're going to be learning a new offense here. That he's got such a higher ceiling as far as where he can go, that we need him to be getting the reps. And, you know, and where I was going before that is, like, you know, he didn't look very comfortable back there at all when he was going to throw. I mean, his feet looked amazing. Like, awesome to see what he can do with his feet and his legs, and trying to extend plays and get first downs. But he didn't look comfortable passing the ball yet, and comfortable in the offense. But that's going to come with time, right? And so I understand why we went with Deacon Hill going into the game, but damn, gotta play better. But Marco's got to be the number 2 guy behind Cade coming in next year.
Has to be, and going into
spring ball, like this has got to be like a KF, like, put out the January depth chart and, like, hey, Marco's number 2.
And I don't want to get too hung up on it, because me and you would die for KF. It doesn't matter. Like, me and you would die for him. We're the homers. We're biased. We are who we are. But with Deacon and even Petrus a little bit, and I think, you know, you could maybe make an argument for that after we saw what Padilla gave us. It wasn't really much better. It feels like KF maybe a little bit in the back end of his coaching career digs his heels in on some things that the media or the general fan perspective pushes back on. Like, hey, you got anything better than Deacon Hill at quarterback? And they're just like, no, he's been playing good football for us. I
understand them saying playing good. Like, what are you going to do? Throw your player under the bus? No, of course not. But it is very possible that Deacon Hill was the best that we had on our roster at that point.
That's
because you're talking about a true freshman. I mean,
I get
freshman playing quarterback, and as a guy who's been on scout teams, like, that playbook gets real small.
Yeah, I get it. It's just the fact that if that is true, then we have other issues. Like,
don't get me wrong. Yeah, I understand. You'd like to have a deeper room at the quarterback position. But what I'm saying is, Cade McNamara goes down.
I get it. He was what our chips were all on Cade, and we had to fold him because he got hurt. It is what it is. Quarterback development was also technically under Brian's watch. He was the quarterback
last 2 years, 3 years.
So not only will we have a new offensive coordinator, but we'll have a new quarterbacks coach. Maybe it will also be the OC. Maybe that will be delegated somewhere else. I don't know. But that will be interesting. And I think it's obviously, it should be an obvious thing that they look at and go, this seriously needs to. I don't necessarily care to talk about it, but one of the things about Iowa quarterbacks, when people talk the history of KF and the quarterbacks at Iowa, is that oftentimes you see a lot of fun stuff early on, and then they just don't get a lot better. They regress. There's an argument to be made for several quarterbacks that is true. I get we're not going to have a Michael Penix. Like, it's just probably not going to happen. But
I mean, Michael Penix committed to Indiana. I mean, there's no reason that we can't.
Well, but
Michael Penix.
That's true. But we just haven't. We haven't had one we haven't had a Michael Penix since Brad Banks, and we haven't had anyone really close since CJ. It's just like, damn, we gotta and I feel like maybe Cade production-wise could be that guy, but we gotta have him healthy. Like, it's just, and these are the questions and everything that's going to be mulled over in these next few weeks. Obviously, the OC being hired is going to be big news. The amount of shit that Brian continues to take damn near had me over the edge this weekend. Somebody in Iowa media fucking put out that he was a bully, and I mean, I wouldn't call him a respected. I've never seen any of his stuff. I'm not even going to say his name on the podcast, but he's not a big guy. He's not a beat writer, but he's a radio guy, and he's got some following within the Hawkeye world. And he called him a bully and an asshole or something like that this weekend on Twitter, and said, like, good riddance. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Like, and
did he get beat up by Brian in high school or something?
Must have, because that's a wild, like, character assassination to put out there when he probably doesn't even know Brian. That's crazy. And I actually responded to him, and I was like, I hope you have some personal story with this, because if this is just conjecture, that putting this out is embarrassing. Fuck, that's unbelievable. I would love if KF were to do something a little non-KF like and grab someone that makes him a little bit uncomfortable. One of these guys who's going to bring in but I don't think that's going to happen. KF is the guy for a reason. He's the top of the food chain. He's going to do what he feels is best. And 99.9% of the time, what he feels is best is straight line, nothing fancy, nothing flashy. And whoever he brings in, we just need something scheme-wise that's a little bit better to mesh with a quarterback play that's a little bit better, and I think we'll be fine. But damn, if this fan base and team has just been in a hole the last couple of years, it's just they're absolutely starved for offense. So
all our things being equal, you assume that our 4 best offensive players are healthy. Whoever the next OC is automatically walking into a better situation than what we had this year. And guess what? The sky is the limit, and the floor is pretty damn low. So
yeah, by now. Buy the stock now.
I can only go up now. Exactly. It's only going up from here, baby. We're going to the moon.
Great time to invest.
Yeah. I do want to give a shout out to 2 players who set records in the bowl game. Torrey Taylor, not necessarily a record you want to set. This kind of goes with the.
It's not his fault.
Well, it's not his fault, but
all he did was, hey, when the Hawkeyes called on him, he just did his job.
I'll say
Torrey sets the record for all-time punting yards in a season, a record that has been held since 1938.
Awesome.
Holy shit.
And to be honest, probably won't be broken. One of the crazy stats of the year, of a full book of them, was there's not a single team other than Iowa in the country to have more punting yards than offensive yards during the season. Iowa, the only one, and the number was 1,100 more.
Is that bad?
We were fucking bad, boys. The drive to 325 ended with an average offensive score of about what Stolke averages a game, 15 points a game. It was bad. So good on you, Torrey.
Can we still just congratulate Torrey?
In the punting world, average punt is better than probably total punt yards because people don't have the same amount of volume, but he's pretty dang up there on that too. I think he ends with potentially, he might have even beat Roby's career average. He's damn close, if not. And
also just an absolute assassin at plus 50 punts.
Just unbelievable. And we're going to miss him sorely next year. Even if we have a guy who's doing good, it's just, he was great to have in the program. Would love to get him back on the show. We had him on this summer. Need to get him on again for his own episode. And then Jay Higgins, with a 16 tackle game, goes out and ties the single season all-time record for Iowa for tackles.
Robbed, though.
In a season. What?
He was robbed, though, of the record-breaking one.
Really?
Well, I mean, they didn't give him the one tackle because they thought he was in the end zone.
Well, he ends with, I believe the number is 171 in a season. And that is a lot. That's a lot of collisions. So if we could maybe we could find his Venmo and we could NIL him some massage treatments or something, because his body hurts right now after a season worth of just absolute car crashes. But shout out to Jay, and it'll be great to have Jay back. And we'll kind of end with that. You know, we got the Jermari announcement. We've had the Luke Lachey announcement. Jay Higgins. There could be more. They've all been very succinct.
Yeah. This is a great time of year now because you just get into talking season.
Oh yeah.
Like I can just create the narrative. All these guys coming back in my head.
This is Jermari's announcement. Literally 3:28 this afternoon, and all it says is there's more to give. See you next fall. Like,
awesome.
Jay Higgins was very similar. It was like, I've got more to prove. Luke Lachey is like, there's more left for me to do. And they're just like these one-word announcements, not these long bullshit paragraphs.
It's fucking blue collar, go to work, baby.
And even in these announcements, the way that they present themselves, there is something special in Iowa City still, maybe at its peak right now, culture-wise. So, damn it, if there's a reason to ever keep KF, even if the offense is just in the dumpster, it's because there's not a better culture in the world. There just isn't. He's got guys coming back for 14th years, and the potential for next year is big. So, we didn't even get...
I was going to say, can I do breaking news?
Sure.
We have 3 Pro Bowl Hawks.
Oh.
Announced.
Oh. Who do we got?
All right, so you got Sam Laporta.
Tight end.
Rookie year, very impressive. Tyler Linderbaum.
Of course.
Let's go.
And then George Kittle.
Tight end.
Yeah. So congrats to those guys.
I'm surprised Wirfs wasn't on.
I'm just reading the list.
Well, Pro Bowl is like, it's gotten more and more about like just voting, right?
Yeah,
fan
right.
voting.
Yeah,
it's like
right.
it's more of a popularity contest than actual.
George Kittle claims his mom voted 100 times for Brock Purdy. So
good for him. That's amazing.
Good chance one of those guys doesn't play in the Pro Bowl because they're in the Super Bowl.
I hope that George wins the Super Bowl this year. It's all I want.
I would love that. That'd be very cool.
We did not even talk about the semifinal games. So the national championship is Monday, correct?
Yep.
So I suppose that gives us some content to talk about Sunday night. We'll kind of recap those games a little bit. We'll look ahead to the national championship. We'll talk about any other Hawkeye news, if there's any other announcements, any other hirings, maybe, who knows. And we'll see you on Monday morning, the morning of the national championship. Sorry, I sounded like a fucking elf this episode. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. 2024, the walk-ons are going to keep banging away. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.